a solar eclipse in Aries, March 29th, 3:58 a.m. Pacific time. Adjust for your time zone accordingly. This is going to immediately be followed by Neptune entering Aries. This is a huge turning point in history. You know, it's a historical moment. Hello, my name is Eliane Nicole. I'm your astrologer and tarot reader, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the solar eclipse in Aries of March 29th and why this is such a pivotal moment in history, as well as in many of our personal lives. And I will talk about who it will affect most personally, by degree, as well as what some of the collective expressions we can expect will be. But first, I want to say, if you're watching this on Instagram, I'm just going to post the first 3 minutes here. The entire video will be available on my YouTube channel, Eliane Nicole. My YouTube channel is my name, Eliane Nicole. Please find me there. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. Please hit the notification bell so that you're notified every time I post a new video. Please like, please comment, please share. It helps me in the algorithm. It helps me to grow my community and my business and my channel, and it puts me in a position to continue to give these free astrological offerings. If you're watching this on Instagram, please make sure that you are following astrology.tarot.Eliane Nicole. Please like, please comment, please share. Free for you and very helpful to me. And now, without further ado, I'm going to talk about this very dynamic solar eclipse in Aries, March 29th. It is a fiery eclipse, and it is, big endings and big beginnings, endings that are going out with a bang, and beginnings, that are getting off to a blazing new start. In many ways, it's a full circle moment. Some people will be finding in their lives. It's very closely related to the Neptune moving into Aries on the 30th, which will be the first time that Neptune has been at 0 degrees Aries in 165 years. So we're looking at, 1861 to 1875, and things like, the Civil War that was going on in America, for instance, where I am reading from right now, so there are, kind of these like once in every couple, 2 or 3 lifetime type of energies that are taking place in our lives in the Aries sector of our chart. And if you don't know what house Aries rules in your chart, by golly, right now is a great time to get to know that, because this solar eclipse is the end of the Aries-Libra axis of eclipses that we've been having over the past couple of years. And so in many ways, it's the ending, the tying up of that, the final, bow to that chapter of something that we were kind of dealing with probably maybe since July of 2023, or I think that there was, I think it goes back to 2023, these eclipses, the Aries-Libra axis. So anyway, but, we're just coming out of the portal, which began with that Virgo eclipse, which is where we're going to this Virgo Pisces axis. So as this Aries eclipse happens, it's a North Node eclipse. So it's it's an out of sign, because the North Node is now in Pisces. And so, this North Node has so much to do with our collective Dharma, our collective North Star, as humanity, but then also in our personal lives. And when we're dealing with Pisces, this has to do with a spiritual direction, And it has to do with connecting, realizing, recognizing, living, embodying the oneness of humanity, the oneness of us all, which then generates the higher vibration emotions like, compassion and empathy and generosity and, like just joy and abundance and prosperity. And, however, the shadow side of that Pisces energy, because it is the North Node, that hunger, that in seeking that connection to the divine, sometimes human beings look for that in the material world, and they try to fill that void, that hole, with money or food or sex or alcohol or drugs or shopping, you name it. Everybody's got something, there's all different kinds of ways that humans' egos can, we know, I'm not telling anybody anything they don't know. Like, we've all been through this. And so, but that's so much, the Pisces yearning for something more. That North Node during the eclipse is actually, let me pull up the eclipse chart. I'm kind of like not prepared. I'll look at it from the LA point of view. That's fine. So, so that North Node is at 27 degrees Pisces between Saturn and, Neptune, Venus, that whole Pisces pileup, which, if you haven't already, watch the video that I did about the first Pisces pileup. I think that was in January, at the very beginning of February? Anyway, and then I also have done a Venus and Pisces video, which I've talked about what's going on here a little bit more, but, this is very much, everything in Pisces is the end. It's the closing, it's the finale. And in this Aries sector of our chart, this is where the balance of energy is in our charts. And not only reflected by this solar eclipse that's happening at 9 degrees Aries, but also by the Venus and Mercury retrograde. And at the time of this, Venus and Mercury have both been in a retrograde story. As I record this video on the 28th of March, Venus just entered Pisces last night, still retrograde. Mercury will be entering Pisces tomorrow, March 29th, still retrograde from Aries. But, they're moving at different speeds, but they're essentially covering the same exact patch of real estate in the Pisces Aries portion of our chart. So that is, again, if you've been following my astrology, I've already told you this, but if you have not, this is a new thought. But it's very important to get to know that patch of real estate in your chart. It's really, the universe is pulling focus on that area of our lives for us, and how they tie together, and where we are kind of, saying goodbye, closing up shop, and where there's this new start that's trying to get going. But it is this Pisces tide is pulling us back. There's something still in the Pisces sector that is delaying or postponing this new start that is meant to be happening. And that is going to clear up timing wise. And, that Pisces tide pool for some people may be in their body, sickness or health, but it can also represent other things. There's like chaos, confusion, details getting lost in the shuffle, cloudiness, vagueness, lack of clarity, a fog over everything, like people being spaced out, people being sleepy. Like, there's just so much going on with this Pisces energy. People are drunk, people are hungover, people are intoxicated, people are you know, playing hooky, binge watching Netflix. Like, there's all kinds of stuff going on with this Pisces whirlpool up here, you know. The best of it is it's a treasure trove for artists, you know. I'll say that again and again and again, you know. It's, you know, but artists kind of live slightly, you know, counterculture to the regular 9 to 5, you know, template world that most of us live in. And so I guess that's why sometimes the transits that are more difficult for, you know, in everyday life are so great for the creative process, because, you know, everyday life isn't designed to make an artist's life easy in this world. Let's just put it that way. But I digress. I don't even know why I went down that rabbit hole. I guess, you know, the oracle wanted me to say that because I wasn't planning to. I mean, it is true, you know, but you know, but how does it relate to this? Well, it relates to this because that Pisces pileup does have a lot to do with artists and creating, because this is the space for the creation. This is the space for painting and filmmaking and dancing and composing music and writing poetry. And even if you're a person who doesn't do any of those things, then this is the space for taking it in and appreciating that. Like, that's what we need to soothe our soul. That Pisces area of our chart, it should be a balm, hopefully, but it can be a whirlpool, you know. It can feel like things are out of control and chaotic and confusing and foggy, and, you know, but this Aries solar eclipse followed by Neptune entering Aries, it's like the lights are about to come on. It's like we're about to step out of that Pisces whirlpool and start to dry off in the bright, exalted sunlight of Aries. And, you know, it's like a change of temperature, it's a change of atmosphere, it's an elemental change that the whole world is stepping into together as Neptune steps into Aries, which I'm going to do a whole separate video about Neptune stepping into Aries. But this solar eclipse in Aries is very much like announcing Neptune's entrance. The solar eclipse is announcing Neptune's entrance. And it's like, you know, this other, like, you know, 1.5 to 2 year chapter that you've just come out of is now behind you. You are finally closing the door. The lessons are learned. Everything is done. And now, boom, blazing new start into the future. However, there will be some delays or postponements, just letting you know, in what you thought was going to be the official launch date or the official start date, or, you know, Mercury is still retrograde, Venus is still retrograde. And interestingly enough, their retrograde began basically at the same degree as the solar eclipse in Aries. Now, solar eclipses in general, you know, to the ancients, they had so much to do with the leadership and like takeovers of power, transfers of power, you know, like grabs of power. The sun always represents the leaders, you know, the solar figure. That's the king, that's the president, that's the CEO. And during a solar eclipse, because we just had the lunar eclipse in Virgo, and I did a whole video about that if you want to go listen to everything that a lunar eclipse is about. But that began the eclipse portal that we've been in for the past 2 weeks, from the full moon leading to this new moon that will, you know, and so now the new moon solar eclipse is different, because the solar eclipse is that the shadow of the moon is covering the sun. So we, from the earthly perspective, from, you know, longitude and latitude, where you're able to see the eclipse happening, it brings this shadow, you know. And there was There was a big one in April of 2023 that this eclipse relates back to. It's kind of closing up that story, tying up the loose ends of that story that kind of sparked off during that eclipse. And yet, every ending is a new beginning. Aries is beginning something new in this sector of our chart, something, you know, Neptune is stepping in. I can't wait to do the Neptune video. Neptune deserves his whole own video. I'm giving Neptune so much props and respects. I'm like bowing down to Neptune. Neptune, be good to me, baby. But seriously. Yeah, so what else did I want to say about this solar eclipse? You know, I could say the different risings for the world in America and Los Angeles and, you know, what house it's in. I mean, I guess I could. For Los Angeles, it's in the 3rd house. So it has to do with, you know, our communities and our neighborhoods, you know, the fires, Aries, and then the Pisces pileup is in the 2nd house for Los Angeles. So the finances are a big, chaotic, unclear mess. And Pluto is rising in Los Angeles, so it looks like the rise of an underworld figure. Good times. Yeah, and then let's see, but in the DC chart, when I look at the Aries solar eclipse, it's in the 1st house, so it's the very identity of the country, and you know, in that 1st house, you know, war. It looks like war is rising for America when I look at this solar eclipse chart. And it looks like there are a lot of things, and the Pisces pileup is in the 12th house, the house of hidden enemies. So there's a lot of enemies that are gathering together against us secretly. It's also the house of self-undoing, which that's going on for the country. It's the house of spirituality. So it's a deep Aries eclipse, solar eclipse chart for DC. Like it's deep, you know. But I don't want this reading to go too much down that road either. And then when I look at it from a world perspective, and maybe I'll do a separate video with these if anybody leaves a comment that they would like to see that. Because when I look at the world chart, it's the same astrology. I'm just twisting the charts at different angles because of what time it was when the eclipse happened. And for the world chart, it's in the 10th house, you know. And so again, you know, that looks like big wars, you know, the announcement of new wars, old wars that are reviving. Yeah, I hate to say it. It's in the 10th house of the world chart. And so you see, I just want to illustrate how which house the eclipse is happening takes the same astrology that's happening in the sky and it applies it in a different way, and the language gets even more and more specific. And so that's why if I look at your chart, if we do a one-on-one reading and I'm looking at where the eclipse falls in your chart and then how it angles your specific planets, it gets more and more specific to you. But these videos are broad strokes because I feel like everyone who wants some access to astrology should have it, and I love sharing it with others. I like making it available to others, but you know, I do still believe that it works best one-on-one with an astrologer, and I would love to read for you. So contact me for a reading. But let's talk about some of the aspects of this Aries solar eclipse now. I don't know, I guess I'll look at it from the LA point of view for now. So the aspects, the sun conjunct the moon, so obviously it's a seed planting point. All new moons are seed planting points, so solar eclipses are even more so seed planting points. You know, you can always use the balsamic moon right before, the night before, or 2 nights before the new moon, when it's the dying black moon, to do like banishing spells, elimination spells, like things like that. But anyway, you don't want to do your manifestation spells until the new moon or after, when the first light of the new moon starts to grow, because then that light carries it into, into the universe. But anyway, yeah, new moons are always seed planting points. We're setting intentions whether we realize it or not. And this is a very, very important new moon because of the Neptune ingress into Aries happening the very next day. This is a historical turning point. This is where the intentions that you plant now may reach into other lives, like beyond this life. They may reach into even other incarnations. And maybe I'm getting too out there talking about that because we have enough to deal with in this life. But I'm just saying that this is a very special moment in history. So take a look at who's around you, what you're doing, what you're working on, what you're starting. And that's the other thing, because this is a new moon solar eclipse in Aries, there are things that are beginning now that are hidden from view. There are things that are beginning beneath the surface. We still can't see them, but it's the start of things that are going to be very important in our lives over the entire next 14-year cycle, So again, you can kind of just have this awareness because you have astrology in your life, and you can look around to the people you're talking to, the places you're going, what you're thinking about, what you're thinking about in terms of starting new in your life. This is where we are right now, and the Neptune of it all has so much to say, and that's why Neptune entering Aries gets his own video. He'll probably get more than one video. I'm just touching on him here because that's a lot of what this solar eclipse in Aries is about. It's announcing Neptune's entrance, and Neptune is going to be many things to us. He's going to be backdrop, he's going to be landscape, he's going to be person, places, things, events, situations. Like Neptune and Aries is an energy that we are going to be getting to know very well. And the solar eclipse is announcing this. It's a sea change is happening as Neptune makes the move into Aries. And it's like this Aries solar eclipse is announcing that. And then there's the sea within us. We are 75% water, I think, and so those waters are being moved as well within us all. As the world enters this new era, we are all having to step up into being new versions of ourselves in this new era to accommodate a new way of living. The technology, the robots, the AI, the driverless cars, all of life moved into online, and more that we don't even see coming, that's right around the corner, that is completely altering the way that we live in the world, says Pluto in Aquarius over there, and he's still at 3 degrees. He is rising in the Los Angeles chart, Pluto in Aquarius. Anyway, there's so much more I could say about that, but I have to be careful. These videos will get too long if I'm doing Los Angeles and DC and the world. I realize if I want to do more of a current events video, I have to make that separate. I want to talk about that, how this is going to manifest for people personally and who this is going to affect the most. If you have any planets anywhere from 6 degrees to 12 degrees of any of the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, this solar eclipse will be very personal to you. And if you have any, and possibly in a more, in a challenging way, but challenging in a good way, like challenging in the sense of having of facing our fears and doing it anyway, and the going after our passions, and just being brave and courageous, and but oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. yeah, so that's kind of the cardinal signs, and it's a building aspect, and it can be a creative aspect, you know, that friction, you know, it's 90 degrees for Cancer, and Libra, it's right on top of you. For no, for Cancer and Capricorn, it's 90 degrees. For Aries, it's right on top of you. For Libra, it's an oppositional force. So the solar eclipse, yeah, it could be difficult for Libras, Capricorns, and Cancers. Aries, it can go in either way. I mean, for Aries, I really feel like this is a rebirth moment. And again, this is going to be strongest for if you have any planets from 6 degrees to 12 degrees, Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn. Now, if you have any planets from 6 degrees, 12 degrees, Sagittarius, or Leo, I think that this is a very inspired, fortuitous new start for you at this time. And it may just like take off like wildfire. Yeah, and then like if you are at like anything from 6 degrees to 12 degrees, Gemini or Aquarius, there are some opportunities that are presented for you here for a new start. And whether you take it or not, I mean, there's opportunities, it looks like, for very blessed new starts for you. But again, you have to recognize the blessing to receive it. And so if you're watching this, you have astrology, you have the blessing of astrology, and it's letting you know to look for the opportunities that are presenting themselves, because it's a sextile, it's not a trine. So not going to land in your lap, but it's there if you look for it, if you seek it out, if you recognize it and pursue it. So, and I love the relationship between Aries and Aquarius in general. This Pluto and Aquarius and the Aries sector of our chart, the relationship is a sextile. Sextiles are of the nature of Venus. They're harmonizing, they're creative, they're sensual and blending, and you know, they're attracted to each other. And so it's a beautiful energy. It's fire and air, you know, so the best of that is fire stimulating air, or air stimulating fire and making it shine brighter. And that you know, so once a month, as the moon passes through Aquarius every month, it'll be interacting with Pluto now for the next 20 years. You know, for the last 16 years up until 2024, we were having that moon Pluto in Capricorn every year, you know, and so this is a completely new energy that we're going to be experiencing, you know, and this is progress. This is the future. This is you know, this is thinking out of the box. This is thinking in terms of what's best for the whole, you know, what's best for the community, humanitarian ideals, you know, progress in science and technology. But the relationship between that Aquarius and that beginner's mind of Aries, and the bravery of Aries, and the impulsiveness and the willingness to just go out the gate and try it, just go for it, of Aries, mixed with the kind of innovation and futuristic thinking, and you know, and then there is this play, but a nice interplay between the individual and the collective, where the individual's gifts and courage and strength and enthusiasm can be to the benefit of the collective, you know? And so that's what that whole Aries, Aquarius, amongst other things, that's one of the things that I love about that relationship that's going to be in sextile over the next, you know, as Neptune moves into Aries, that's going to be, you know, so that's kind of in the backdrop of the new era that we're entering into. So I'm going to talk more about that as well in the Neptune video, but I kind of just wanted to talk about what else? The Mercury and Venus, they've been working together. They've been back and forth in Aries and Pisces too. So again, just more and more focus is being pulled towards the Aries Pisces portion of our chart, specifically about 24 Pisces to 10 degrees Aries. Mercury and Venus are still in their back and forth journey. You know, the sun has crossed it, and Neptune is getting ready to cross it, and then, you know, Saturn will be crossing it. The North Node crossed it earlier this year. This is a very important point, you know, 29 Pisces and 0 degrees Aries. Endings and beginnings, you know, and it's almost like baptism energy as well. You know, Pisces is like, you know, being kind of sunk under the water, and then Aries is the awakening and the new life after the purification and the cleansing and the baptism. You know, it's like this new life is beginning, you know, and yeah. What more did I want to say? So yeah, Mercury and Venus working together. This is the integration of heart and mind. This is having to go back and tie up loose ends from the past before we can go forward. This is re-evaluating our relationships. This is re-examining our values. This is, you know, clearing up communication in some areas. You know, it's rewriting, it's rethinking, it's editing, it's like all of these things going on with that Mercury Venus conjunction. And then Mercury is coming into conjunction with Neptune. So there is a sense of like, I mean, this can be very poetic, but it also can be a liar. There's deception and metaphorical speaking and metaphorical thinking, which is great if it's like you're writing poetry or composing music, but not so great if it's like, you know, your politicians and leaders like doing the metaphorical speaking and thinking, you know? So like Venus conjunct Neptune, you know, I've said what a beautiful time this is for artists, so I'm not going to keep. Mars trine Saturn, you know, so Mars in Cancer is trine Saturn in Pisces. So it's like kind of like there's a lot of emotional fortitude here. There's a lot of emotional strength here, and intelligence, a lot of spiritual fortitude, and yeah, that's what I'll say. There's, I don't know, people have what it takes to get over, to get through this phase of history that we find ourselves in right now. What other, Mars sextile Uranus, unexpected. We do like that, some unexpected, explosions. No, I don't think that. It looks like some surprises coming, financial perhaps, for the country. Pleasant financial news, surprise, possibly. It's just a sextile. Saturn sextile. Yeah, I'm not going to keep going down this whole list. I'm already at 33 minutes, and I don't have my cards here, so I'm not going to pull a card, but I will say that, well, I can read the I can read the Sabian symbol for 9 degrees Aries. That is interesting. Where the new moon is. A crystal gazer. This is a symbol of man's capacity for bringing an entire universe within the purview of his mind. There are higher faculties of human understanding, but is no more than the illimitable possibilities of personal experience in the realms of potentiality. Implicit is the concept of the world and the individual as irrevocably in partnership, each reflecting the other and thereby providing a foreview of every possible mood or situation. The key word is acuteness. When positive, the degree is consummate insight in planning the course of events or organizing them in the light of immediate convenience. And when negative, an idle curiosity, and a surrender of all reality to the vagaries of the moment. Yes, a crystal gazer. I love incorporating the Sabian symbols. That's more like degree astrology. But yeah, so, you know, this new moon chart also tells a story of the entire, you know, lunar cycle. So all of these things that I've been talking about really apply to the entire next 28, 29 days ahead of us. These are kind of going to be a lot of the themes that we're dealing with, you know, and as well, that Pisces pile up, you know, there's a lot with, I've probably mentioned it, but like there's a lot with like addiction and, you know, those kinds of things. But, you know, I just, I don't know, I've been talking for a long time, so I want to wrap it up. I would love to read for you personally. I think astrology works best when you're working one-on-one with an astrologer. I read on Zoom, so I can read for people anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. I would love to read for you. I will put a link in the description of the notes to book a reading with me on my website, elianenicole.com. Or you can email me. That will be in the description notes if you want to email me directly to book a reading. Or if you would like to buy me a coffee or a tea or a croissant to thank me for this free offering, I will put my Venmo in the description below. And yeah, thank you for joining me. You know, there's always so much more that I could say about the Aries eclipse. Honestly, this Pisces whirlpool for me has been making me feel really like, kind of like, just, I don't know, slightly zapped. It's a little spacey. It's hard to do the videos under the Pisces energy. It's not the best energy for like, you know, anyway, I'm not going to complain. It's such an honor to be here and to read for you. It's such an honor for the planets to speak through me. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to read for you one-on-one soon. And have a wonderful Aries solar eclipse. Yeah, I don't know if I said enough about it all, but I think I did. I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay. I was wondering if I said enough just about what it means about the leadership, you know, the eclipse. It usually means the death of a leader, you know, like, and I just don't know if I said that. Death of a leader or solar figure. But I've said it a lot in the eclipse videos that I've done in the past. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Thank you for joining me. Goodbye.